Okay, so let's go through some setup for how to analyze and handle the data that is now blasting our Graylog server. Um, so what I did while the recording was off, I added the same client to a couple of other machines. So I actually installed it on my Metasploitable VM, the RSyslog client, and there we have the Windows 10 machine and the Kali machine, and I also installed it on my local uh, Windows client or machine. So the one I use for work, which can be seen from the domain name. So just at first glance, so what you can do after you configure all the clients that you send the data to the server, you can start by clicking on streams. So by default, everything will be indexed in Graylog. So if we click on all messages, if you have done everything correctly until this point, you should see a lot of like logs and data and so forth in this on this dashboard. So the way Kibana works, you might remember this from Security Onion, but the way it works is that we can set a um, time frame for how long we want to go back. So let's say, for example, that you had this had been running for a year, for example, and you want to check out the logs for the last 8 days. Then you would simply, or 7 days, that's easier. Then you would simply click on 7 days, and it would collect all the logs that would be available for you. That would be or indexed from 7 days until now. So this is pretty much the reason why you need a lot of memory on the Elasticsearch database, because for a single machine to handle, let's say you had hundreds of machines and all of them ended up sending like different types of logs and thousands of events and so forth. That's a lot of data, and you need quite a punchy machine to handle it all. But yeah, so in my case, I haven't had this running for too long, so I will just keep it at like 2 hours. I think I'll get most of the data anyway. I'll just pick search all messages. So the way what we need to do is to create something called dashboards. So if we click on dashboards, there's already a predefined dashboard that has a couple of like there's a pie diagram right there, and there's a like some linear data counting here. Let's see. I think if we change it to all messages, it can be a little bit buggy at times. So if we go like this, yeah. So you can see that I've received 6,000 messages from my Windows 10 machine, and 800 from this, and 800 from my Kali machine, and then 19 from my Metasploitable machine, and 341. And now you can see that the pie diagram is showing everything in percentages. So 75% of all the logs on my current server is from this one SQL server, or it's not SQL server, but yeah. So now you can see why it's so beneficial to have proper host names. Because if you had a lot of lines, you would pretty much get lost pretty quickly. So you can see from, for example, my host name is fairly easy to figure out what machine it is. But if the machine was named Kali or Metasploitable, it would be pretty much impossible to track down what machine created some specific event logs, unless you had everything mapped out. But yeah. But okay, so what we can do, this is one of the reasons why this tool or the elk stack is so powerful, because we can create our own like dashboards. So if we click on create and click on aggregation and then edit, we can, let's just reset that and just all messages. We can choose what data we want to present. So if I go to, let's go back to streams. Or I will actually just open this. If we go, yeah, this is under streams, and then on all messages. If we look at, yeah, so this is one of the logs from my local machine. Let's say that I want to have a dashboard showing all the machines or all the usernames that have logged on to one specific computer on my network. So I'm super paranormal about. I have super paranoia about about who has logged on to this Windows machine. So what I can do then is to create a new aggregation. Just add that and add a data table, and then I will need to add a row. So this can be a bit tricky to figure out, but if we go back to the message, I actually tried to log into this machine just before with a successful login, so the log should still be here somewhere. Let's see. Everything's in Norwegian, so it's way more difficult. The last 30 minutes. Okay. Let's actually go to this dashboard and then find it there. So we can add this to a query. So what this will do is pretty much just filter everything so that the only source that is visible will be where the source is equal to this hostname, which means that all the data that will be shown will be sent from my desktop. What we'll do then is to click on that plus sign and then add message table. So this is the full log message that has been sent from my machine. And I'm not sure about let's change this to 2 hours. And I mean, we should in theory get more. Try to update it then. Yeah, okay, so it just took a minute. So let's see. Yeah, so the logget point konto, which means that one account logged in. So what we can do now is just look for these parameters. So where can I find my username? So there we had the domain. And let's see. The username should be here somewhere. There we have the source. Okay, target username. So target username right there and target domain name. So let's take those two. And we want to show those two parameters or variables on this dashboard. So what we will do, we will just create a new data table and we will search for target domain name. So this is the domain name and then target name, wasn't it? No. Let's see, target username. Target username. Okay, and we will just save. So if we just do last 2 hours and then do source, like my computer is pretty slow, so if you had the same setup on a more powerful computer, you would get more success. So now you can see this looks quite messy, but you can see that we have the target domain, or let's actually also add the source. That way it's way easier. So we will add the source. So source. So there are two sources. It's a source with a small s. And save. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. So we have the target domain, and we have the target user, and we have the source. So we have the SQL server, we have system logging in, and since, I mean, this is only my 2 clients, there's not a lot of activity on the network, but if you had like installed this on Nora, for example, you would be able to see when each of these, each user logged in to the network. So in order to filter some stuff, for example, this is pretty messy. So you get a lot of like Windows services, administrator right here, and all of these are mostly just Windows services. But if we wanted to filter like to domain logins, we could just click on student domain and add to query. And this would create a filter. So if you had multiple Windows machines connected to the system, then you would get just a list of all the machines that have been used to log in with a user that is a member of the student domain. Or let's say, for example, I wanted to check out where this user, Knut.Roland, where in the network that user has been used to log into different machines. Then I could just actually add that as a filter, the target user, and add that as a query. Now I have just this one machine right there, but if I logged into multiple machines and all of those machines, well, we can actually try this. So if I go to my Windows 10 machine, let's see. So even though this machine is not part of the domain, we should still be able to, if I do log off, since let's just lock it, and then try not log in with that user. Oh, I have to log off properly. Let's see. Oh, I can't log in with a different user. It's a bit disappointing. Okay. So let's see. If I do like this, now we should actually get a new. Okay, but let's just do it the other way around. So let's say we have the user admin instead. So I just tried to log in with the user admin, or I logged in with the user admin on the Windows 10 machine in my virtual machine, virtual desktop. If I just lock this machine and I try to log in as admin, then we should have 2 entries on admin on 2 different machines. So let me just lock this. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully that didn't mess up my recording. Okay, so I just logged back in. Okay. So if I now add admin as a filter. Yeah, correct. So now we can see 3 entries for the user admin. So we have this machine, and this machine, and this machine. So yeah, and then we can see all the full error messages or the event logs. If we wanted to see the severity of the message, we could do edit, and we could also go right here and add this, I think it's severity value. That way we could actually see, for example, 4. 4 is when a user tries to log in, but it fails. So let's just look at this. We can see login process. Yeah, it could be the case that I just wrote the wrong password. That's what I'm guessing. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. So this is a really powerful tool. So I would encourage you to just experiment with it and try to do different things. If you have any more questions, feel free to send me a message on Discord. So yeah, have a good day.